The History of Ronde, Part 2, Parc Belmont. On the north side of Montreal Island, in a section of town known as Cartierville, a team of 4 investors in 1923 opened a new amusement park known as Parc Belmont. Based on the traditional Coney Island style, the park immediately flourished and became a popular attraction among locals. The ride offerings were the standard of the age, including a whip, wild mouse, haunted house, and numerous other games and oddities among its attractions. A laughing fat lady greeted guests at the entrance, which cost 20 cents for adults and 10 cents for children. The iconic twin towers of the entrance were a Montreal landmark for decades to come. A year after its opening, the park introduced their main attraction, the Herbert Paul Schmeck designed Cyclone wood out-and-back roller coaster. Upon its opening, the Philadelphia Toboggan Company ride was the tallest and fastest roller coaster in the world, a record it enjoyed until 1946. In 1929, entrepreneur Jacques Gavreau purchased the park outright from its original investors. The Gavreau family would go on to run the park for over 40 years and would be forever associated with its most successful years. Among their minor investors included Charles-Émile Trudeau, father to Pierre, and grandfather to Justin Trudeau. Pierre Trudeau would go on later to sit on the park's board of directors for a period in the 1960s, before his election as Prime Minister rendered that side interest impossible. The Trudeaus, despite anyone's political impressions, have long championed the development of the Canadian theme park industry through the 20th century. When Parc Belmont's chief competitor, Dominion Park, closed in 1937, it left the park in the enviable position of being the center of amusement for families and otherwise in Montreal. Through multiple generations, the park entertained large crowds with its dance hall, live concerts, and evolving arsenal of amusement rides. The park also featured a wild mouse roller coaster, originally built in Germany and then purchased by the Conklin Amusement Group, who owned numerous traveling rides for their fairground offerings. The ride was installed at Parc Belmont in 1958 and sold to the park that same season. Many Montrealers of the era fondly remember the park as a distinctively Quebecois playground of family and at times adult entertainment. In 1957, Parc Belmont was featured in a film starring French mime Guy Hoffman, otherwise known as Pierrot, which was shot entirely within the park grounds. Much like the unfortunate Pierrot, the park 10 years later would see many of its loved patrons stolen away by a new interest on the other side of the city. 1967. Montreal's ambition to be recognized as a city of global importance reached its zenith with the opening of Expo 67. The $500 million project included a large amusement complex to amuse visitors throughout the day and late into the evenings. This new area would become known as Ronde. It was the first fully realized attempt at a theme park in Canada, and immediately savaged the attendance gate at the more traditional Parc Belmont. Unlike Dominion Park, which had a distinctively Anglophone feel, Parc Belmont was resolutely Quebecois in nature, and through its declining years served as a vivid account of the Montreal carnival scene, catering to low and middle-class families in comparison to the glitzy and expensive Ronde. Local artist and activist Pierre Falardeau used the park as the basis of his controversial film Amusement in 1972.
Youpi! On s'en va au Parc Belmont!
Capturing an unvarnished, warts-and-all account of its atmosphere and activities as part of his political criticisms of the era. In spite of Ronde, in 1972, the park enjoyed its most successful recorded seasonal attendance, with 750,000 attendees. While Parc Belmont would continue to operate with crowds dwindling through its later years, an incident in 1979 would prove to be devastating for the public's perception of it and its aging rides. On the parachute paratrooper ride, 2 young children were seriously injured when one of the chains supporting their seat broke, causing them to fall 8 meters to the pavement below. The park appeared to be in a tailspin of bad luck that it would not recover from. The park manager and future owner recalled at the time that a recall notice from the ride's manufacturer never arrived. While no one lost their life, the incident left a negative impression on the park's safety record and kept visitors from attending. A tragic incident of which it would never recover. That park manager was Paul Pappas, a local businessman involved with many concessions and parking offerings around Parc Belmont. He took one look at the over $100,000 worth of popcorn machines he owned and made the easy decision to purchase the park to benefit from its clients with 2 other business partners in 1980.
Parc Belmont, on s'amuse plus. Parc Belmont, on s'amuse plus. Plus, petit ou grand, on s'amuse plus. Au Parc Belmont, oui! On s'amuse plus au Parc Belmont.
Papa's efforts to revive the park included booking many popular Quebecois artists at the time, including a young singer by the name of Celine Dion. In 1982, Papa's offices were raided by the Montreal police on suspicion of illegal activities including gambling, rigged games, and safety concerns. While nothing to implicate the park's management was found, the park was ordered to suspend operation of 7 of its games. Ronde was the subject of another raid the same year, where 15 of its games were ordered to be suspended. The publicity surrounding the raid was devastating for Parc Belmont, resulting in significant losses and lower attendances throughout 1983. In late July, 2 young locals named Daniel Gladue and Normand Saint-Pierre set about a feat deemed crazy and unprecedented, to set a record for the longest continuous ride ever on a roller coaster. Performed on the park's iconic Cyclone, by August 10th, the 2 intrepid riders ended the campaign with 503 continuous hours logged on the ride, a record that surpasses the current official Guinness record attained by Richard Rodriguez at Blackpool Pleasure Beach in 2007. Gladue and Saint-Pierre planned to repeat the feat the next season. However, for reasons beyond their control, it wasn't meant to be. At the end of the season in 1983, Paul Pappas announced that Parc Belmont would close its doors and not reopen for the 1984 season. The Cartierville area at the time was experiencing substantial residential growth, resulting in less parking for visitors, along with noise bylaws discouraging to the park's operation. In a 1986 review of the 82 raid, a Quebec Superior Court judgment harshly criticized the actions of the Montreal Community Police, MCU, and led to the order of compensation to the park's owners of $90,000 by one of their lawyers and 4 police officers. It had been suspected that the raid may have been an illicit operation intended to further weaken their business and drive families instead to the city-owned Ronde. It was too late to save Parc Belmont, however, as soon after its closure, the entire site was demolished and the land it once stood on was quickly redeveloped into various housing projects. The over half-century-old park was forever lost and quickly faded from collective memory. Many years later, as part of Montreal's 375th anniversary celebrations, the park was celebrated once more with various events in Cartierville, finished off with a monument to its pivotal history in the city that can be visited today. Montreal had lost its most successful and iconic amusement park, in part to an aggressive agenda of modernization, of which a new, eclectic park would take the torch: Ronde.